We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. So I'm going to go ahead and stand up, and we're going to go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Apologize for that delay. So welcome everyone for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and approve entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the March 20 meeting. If I can entertain a motion for those, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now I'm going to go on to the consent items. There is 7 consent items. I'm going to go ahead and entertain a motion to do all those in one consent line.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we're going to go ahead. Now we're going to go ahead and go on to the public hearing portion. Okay, we're going to go on to case file number 2025-6-C. Go ahead and read that. I'm going to open up a public hearing to consider approval of the request to Imperative Chemical Partners for zone change from Future Development District to High Heavy Industrial District, 43.436 acre tract in section 32 and 41 block 42, T-S TMP Railroad Company Survey, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the south side of West Murphy Street, approximately 630 feet west of Morris Road, Council District 5.
Thank you, Vice Chairman and Commission members.
We can't hear you.
You can hear me? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Vice Chairman and Commission members. The applicant, Imperative Chemicals Partners, is requesting a zone change from Future Development District to Heavy Industrial on a 43.436 acre tract in Section 32 and 41, Block 42, T2S TMP Railway Company, Survey, Ector County, Texas. The properties located to the north, east, and west are zoned future development. To the south, the properties to the south are located outside of the city of Odessa in the extraterritorial jurisdiction. The property involved in this request is located on the south side of West Murphy Street, approximately 630 feet west of Maurice Road. The site is within the city of Odessa and has the location that's inside of the city of Odessa has a future development designation and is currently vacant and undeveloped. Land use in the general area consists of industrial development and vacant land. The applicant and owner, Imperative Chemical Partners, and the purpose of the request is to establish heavy industrial zoning for the 43.436 acres, using the city's identified priorities contained in the City of Odessa's comprehensive plan to evaluate zoning amendments. To the the following comments are offered. For comprehensiveness, the proposed original zone request is not contrary to the established land uses in the general area. For livability, the proposed original zoning would not have a negative impact on this site or surrounding properties, and the proposed heavy industrial would not be out of line with existing zoning in the area. Reasonableness, the proposed original zoning will be in line with existing zoning directly to the north, east, and west, allowing the property to have a single zoning designation. And it's actually the proposed heavy industrial zoning will be in line with the existing zoning directly to the north, east, and west. The case or the information in the case has been sent out to all the staff. We received no comments. The only thing that planning does require is that they should comply with all heavy industrial district standards and regulations. We did notify the surrounding property owners within 200 feet. We sent 11 notices. There were 3 protests, 0 approvals, and 0 returns. Now, those 3 protests do constitute a 27% denial. Well, not denial, but 27% protest for this case. And I'll go ahead and pass those out to you.
Okay.
Based on the preceding analysis, staff recommends approval of the request subject to condition A, which I mentioned the condition is shall comply with all heavy industrial district standards and regulations.
There's 2.
I'm here for any questions.
Is there any questions for staff? Are they currently already operating on that space?
Currently, the land is, it's actually, let me see here.
Is it a
It's-
similar?
There is a warehouse to the northwest. This point in time, I think it's vacant.
Okay.
So what they're proposing is to use it for heavy industrial. They're going to incorporate that little piece to the northwest into the big lot to use for heavy industrial.
Okay.
Okay, so no other questions for staff? Okay. So this is a public hearing, so does anyone would like to come up and speak at this time? Okay. If you please state your name and,
My name is Larry Robinson, and I'm speaking for the public.
okay.
I'm very familiar with the property there, and I have to disagree on some of the things laid out in the document that was sent to some of the people.
Okay.
They did not get a list of the possible uses. There was no attachment showing the uses of heavy industrial.
Okay.
They got a letter, and it was relative to residential somewhat, even though they have businesses right next door. I'm sorry. And I think it's the established land uses are various. There's a lot of it's industrial district, some of it is light commercial, and the rest of it, as this one, was future development, but it's been in use since the 1950s for various things, pipe storage, chemical handling, sand handling, and other things in there. And the property, I'm very familiar with the property, and I think it's fairly well distressed. But my concern comes from the positioning of the property in view that this is a chemical company that is going to do downhole chemicals, they're going to do surface chemicals, midstream chemicals, and there's going to be a lot of mixing chemicals, bulk chemicals. And it's on a point of the entrance to all of the air to Odessa, Texas. Everything comes from the south to southwest. As long as I've known, I've studied ALN processes for many years, and so when I saw this, I thought this will be like the fish smell all of East Odessa had that Greg Simmons went out and investigated and advised the county they need to do an ordinance because of some of these chemical spills, these acids that get on the ground and converge with calcite and other organic materials and make noxious fumes and sometimes toxic fumes. So those are huge concerns. I have a little handout here, if I could give it to you.
Okay.
Would that be, and I think I got 6 of them, that shows the predominant wind directions over, I think that's probably a 15-year map. It hasn't changed since they started recording it. That's right from the National Weather Service and a center in Wichita also. But it shows those lines, darker lines, are the leaving track of the wind after it enters and crosses the site. So any escapes or discharges will be distributed over the whole city of Odessa. And those long lines, that's exactly the size of those lines and the scope. And those triangles show predominant wind. And that, I think I went back to 2009 on this. But the situation that the county had with ACE completions that was out by the railroad tracks on the east side of towns, it took them months, if not years, to find the source of those odors, but it was a similar facility. So I would caution, and it could have been in the packet that was said to be received, but it wasn't talking about the uses. But I think, if anything, it would have to have a special use permit for chemical handling, because otherwise you have spills and with tank cars, and it is a rail siding. It's got 4 different rail tracks on it, and some of them run half a mile long, nearly half a mile long, quarter mile, half a mile, and so it is a facility for offloading. And I think their intentions, and I don't know for sure, but I know the companies they're involved with, and I know what they do, and I expect they will be using a lot of hazardous and toxic materials and mixing them there. So they would have to have, I think, a special assessment on that. Heavy industry, even though it's not designated, it has been heavy industry for a long time. It was a pipe yard, and it covered the whole corner, which was maybe, instead of 43 acres, maybe 180 acres at one time. But the whole property was covered with railroad ties one time. They call it the Rail Tie Ranch. So it was inundated in old oil out of pipes for years and years, running out of them. It had a lot of toxins coming out of the creosote that was heavy creosote from back in the 40s and 50s, and a lot of the rail stuff was reused. So the site is not, to begin with, it's not real clean to start with. I've looked at hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 pages of things. The city was thinking about buying this property of Odessa, and they decided not to buy on it. I mean, there were several reasons not to, but I visited the property probably 20 times the last year, so, and did some studies on it. But if you got these fumes up in the air, it would cover the whole city of Odessa, and that clearly shows on those maps I showed you.
Okay, we appreciate you speaking on that behalf. We only normally give.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
We appreciate you giving us that information, and so we definitely will consider it. Probably normally only give about a few minutes on this part, but we definitely will consider that. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this behalf?
Can I just ask them what's?
But-
Oh, well,
If
one
you-
more question. Oh, yeah.
Do you know if any of those chemicals are flammable that they're trying to store there?
I'm sorry.
Anything flammable
And
that
anything
you know of that
flammable,
will be stored there?
those
Anything
chemicals they're
flammable?
gonna store there?
We really don't know what's gonna be stored there at that point,
Yeah.
so I don't think he
Don't
can
know,
speak
but
on that.
I knew as of 3 months ago, there was still hazardous material on the site left from the
Okay.
previous
Okay.
bankruptcy.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
so, and
You've
I'm
given us
sorry,
you've given us some really good information,
Very
so
hard,
we
but-
appreciate that.
this little demonstration I gave you, if you center, this is, the center is the site. And if you center it on this dot in here, you'll see the radians on there. And
That's great information, and.
yeah, it's like 60% of our wind throughout the year comes from that. And there's no, I didn't even put under 4 miles an hour here.
And we've definitely had a lot of wind this year. I think every day there's been wind. for
But I
sure.
just like those considerations to go to make sure if it was approved, that it did have covenants about having special use, and they did have special handling.
On it, for sure.
Because you've been here a long time, the plant's down south, the mission's coming this way, and so I'd just like to prevent that for the citizens of Odessa and the groundwater, which I don't think there's any family, it said in here, family considerations.
Light industrial, does allow for residential housing, however, since it's an industrial area.
Yeah,
There has been no, residential in this location.
except for on the site. There's 2 residences on the site.
I think there's a warehouse to the northwest.
There were residences, there were people and dogs and kids in them last time I was out there.
I was told there was only a warehouse, but I wasn't aware that it was being used.
Yeah, I visited
Well,
with
you
those
can,
folks
you can
before.
see that there is just.
Anyway.
disputing, yeah. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf, for, or against? Mr. Ash?
Well, I'm against.
I got it, for sure, yes.
I own the property to the south of them, and I
Okay.
own the property to the west of them,
Okay.
some of it.
Can you,
Michael Ashton. Oh, Michael Ashton. And when the former tenant was there, we had a problem because they would cut an area in my property to drain their property. So they do have a drain problem to the east of them. Did it multiple times, and we had to get that taken care of.
Okay.
So they have a problem there. We have water wells also that my neighbor that I have the building leased to Thai Specialties, their water well's right on the property line.
Okay.
And then we have a water well, could be a problem. We also have people who work outside. They had a chemical spill or a problem over at Champion Chemical when our kids were in elementary at LBJ. And it was a big problem. I mean, they had an explosion over there, and kids had real problems when they drink water and stuff. They had burnt throats, they had, and most chemicals do, a lot of them are flammable. But, you know, we can't have them draining on our property. So Larry's a lot more versed on it than I am, but there has been a sand company over there for quite a while.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there any, this is a public hearing, anyone would like to speak on behalf or against?
Good afternoon. My name is Cody Vogler from Imperative Chemical Partners. I'd like to address some of the things that have been stated so far.
Okay.
There were some residences that had been placed on this by the prior ownership of FDF Energy.
Okay.
Those were, as discussed in pre-planning meetings, those were non-compliant. We've already evicted tenants and are in process of having those facilities or those 2 mobile homes removed from the property. So we understand that. We intend to be fully compliant, as we do with everything here. The reality is this was annexed by the city not too long ago, designated as future development. When there were ongoing rail transload operations there, that's our current intent, is to continue the operations that are already existing here, which included, as they stated previously, sand transfer, chemical transfer, a variety of things. I've been on site myself. We've had our own environmental diligence done. So we had comfort to make this investment within the city of Odessa. That was also based, again, on conversations with the pre-planning committee. As far as future development, we understand that we'll be within the city. We'll be fully, regulated by local codes. We're also currently in process of getting any appropriate TCEQ permits, air permits for transferring from rail to trucks. As of right now, there's no intent to store large amounts of chemical at this location. Again, as those things, as that materializes, as we develop this property out, we'll continue to work with the city and do the things that are necessary to be compliant. So I just wanted to kind of speak on behalf of Imperative here.
So you can understand their concerns of.
Sure, but I can understand the concern. It is a heavy industrial area. You know, some of the emissions there are gonna be significantly different than they are for some of the others in that same area. I can sit there and look at CMC most days and see various vapors and smoke coming from the things that they're disposing right there to the north of us. So, can appreciate the concern, but I'd just say it's probably not entirely unique.
And specific to, Mr. Ashton's concern for the draining of the, was it wastewater that they're draining?
They drained their property onto our
Okay.
property because I guess they don't have a good drain of the property when they would cut our property and drain on us, and we would have to go back and hire someone to fill that back in. To
Okay.
keep them from draining on us.
Yeah, I can't speak to any historical issues with the with rainwater drainage, which we could speak to it a bit more so. I mean, we can this weekend with some rain. But look, I mean, whatever civil work is needed and so forth, we'll look at that. If there's retention ponds or something like that, again, all that stuff will be evaluated. But again, right now, our intent is to just really continue industrial operations that are already going with this site. It's just that since there's a change of ownership, we have to go through the zoning process to go from future development to getting a label put on it, which we're pursuing the heavy industrial. So again, I mean, we're not looking to, no fundamental change as to what's been taking place at that site for decades at this point.
Also, the other man, Mr. Robertson, was concerned about the wind direction. And are there any chemicals there that we would have to be concerned about if there's an accident or a fire? Because we just had an incident here north of us a while back where it was
Yeah.
pretty bad and
Yeah,
polluted a bunch of air and water and.
understood, agreed, and that was also, if I recall, not within the city, right? Was that within the county or was that in the city?
I think it was part county and maybe part of the city, but somebody was out on the.
Yeah, and that was really also based upon storage of empty containers and residual amounts within that. That's not our business, is in the container storage. As far as the chemicals and such go, there will be chemical transfer going on there. But again, we've got to be compliant with TCEQ permits, which would limit the amount of vapor emissions of any sort. So we would intend to be fully compliant there. I would say that there have been chemical, in the prior ownership, they were storing chemicals on site, transferring chemicals on site, without any sort of city oversight or permitting. So at this point going forward, like I said, at least, you guys will have a say in what's going on there.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Even though that is in the city, we don't have city water.
Okay.
Okay, it's just all water well.
It's all well watered.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Does anyone want to speak in favor or against? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna turn this over to, I'm gonna close the public hearing. There we go. Okay. Turn this over to, entertain a motion or? Or questions? Any questions of staff? Okay.
I'll move for approval.
For a second.
Nobody else second, so.
I second
For
for approval.
approval, is there, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion
Nay.
fails.
Nay.
Or else both, no, 2 nays? And
You vote.
against. Okay.
You vote?
I voted against.
Okay. It's down there. Motion
Motion
failed.
passes.
Motion failed.
Motion fails.
It fails if there's 2 to 3.
Motion fails. Motion does not pass. Motion fails. Okay.
Next case, I'm gonna open up a public hearing to consider the reinstatement of a preliminary plat of Deer Meadows Addition, first filing being a 104.2 acre tract located in section 11 and 14 block 41 T T&S TNP Railroad Company Survey City of Odessa, Midland County, Texas, generally located on the north side of WCR 22, approximately 1,700 feet east of Paseo La Estancia, County Council District 2.
Thank you, Vice Chairman and Commission members. The applicant, owner DJK Incorporated with consultant LCA, is seeking an extension for the preliminary, or reinstatement, for the preliminary plat of Deer Meadows first filing, which was previously approved on March 21st, 2024, by the Planning and Zoning Commission. The original preliminary plat has expired, and it has been more than 12 months since the original approval, and the reinstatement of the plat is required. The original preliminary plat request was to create 577 single-family residential lots for ownership purposes. The request has been routed to all respective departments for internal review, and there are some comments as follows. Would you like me to read them out for you, or? Please. Okay. So from planning, the Bankhead is a through street. Lots 1 and 2, block 3 will need to be removed. Plan development allows for 40-foot lot width, allow for properties with less than 40 feet width to extend setback line further into lots until 40 feet width is met. For setbacks, as 25 feet setback is required, 4,800 square foot lot size minimum as per zoning case, 2024-04Z, and that's the zoning case that was approved for this location. Provide a turnaround every 600 feet in length, and provide drill site release. From Public Works does not oppose the extension with the following comments. A traffic impact analysis for this entire area is needed prior to filing the final plat. Water and sewer are available for extension, no pro rata is due. The tract is not in the special hazard area, flood hazard area. The drainage report is acceptable, and to add a note to the plat, no direct access from Mission Boulevard. Water, sewer, paving, and drainage plans need to be submitted and accepted prior to final plat, and an improvements agreement will be required. Any work in the right-of-way of easements will require a permit from the engineering division and must comply with current city ordinances and policies. More comments may be forthcoming after review. Now, let me remind you that this is a reinstatement of the preliminary. Some of these might have been added already or been submitted. So this is only for the reinstatement of the preliminary plat.
Okay.
Staff recommends approval of the reinstatement of the preliminary plat for Deer Meadows addition first filing, subject to conditions A through M. I'm here for any questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for staff? Okay. This is a public hearing, so does anyone wish to speak this time? Yes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Gracie Rodriguez on behalf of LCA, 521 North Texas Avenue, 79761. So the reason for my approaching the bench is in reference to comment D. I have an area of concern with that. I did bring the October 8th, 2024 zoning case approval with me that reflects in number 3 along with point B2 at the very bottom of that of that approval notice, that the minimum lot area shall be 4,600 square feet and not 4,800. So I would like to have that amended.
Actually, this is just for the reinstatement of the preliminary.
Correct.
We have gone ahead and placed the actual preliminary on the public hearing as well. So this was just for the reinstatement. We will have a chance to explain these comments at that time.
Okay. Because the next submittal would be for a final, is that correct?
No, this is a reinstatement of the preliminary, so we would have to bring the preliminary again into this case right now.
Okay.
Can we not go ahead and get that fixed so that
So
it?
right now, it's just to approve.
The reinstatement.
The reinstatement.
The reinstatement.
Okay.
Right. And so the reinstatement the initial preliminary doesn't reflect that number.
Okay, but I will go ahead and comment
Okay.
on the public hearing.
We have meetings after that. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay. Is there anyone else would like to? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and close this public hearing. And we're back to my committee? Any questions?
So I don't have any further questions.
Go ahead and entertain a motion, or?
I make a motion to approve with the, the reinstatement of the plat.
Is there a second?
I second.
Preliminary plat.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go on to open up a public hearing for case file number 2023-88-P of the hearing of the reinstatement of the preliminary plat of lots 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, block 13, Smith Pearson addition, being a 77-acre tract in section 34, block 42, T-S, TNP Railroad County Survey, Odessa, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the southwest corner of intersection of West Marble Street and South Sam Houston Avenue in the Council District 1.
Thank you, Vice Commissioner, and Vice Chairman and Commission members. The applicant is Lavorick Williams, owner, Pinell Land Surveyor Consultant, and the purpose of the request is to reinstate the preliminary plat for the alignment of the lots to match direction of the residences. The property involved in this replat request is located on the southwest corner of the intersection of West Marble Street and South Sam Houston Avenue. The site is currently zoned general residence district and is occupied by residential development and vacant land. Land use in the area consists of residential development to the north, east, south, and west. This request was routed back in 2023, and it was approved as what was mentioned at the time, a preliminary replat, which in actuality was a preliminary because there was drainage or additional improvements required. Right now, we're discussing only the reinstatement of this plat. It completed all their requirements, so I will bring it back in a few minutes to go ahead and present as a final. But for the time being, it's only a reinstatement. I'm here for any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for staff? Okay, this is a public hearing. Does anyone would like to speak regarding this case file number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hearing none, I'm gonna go ahead and close this public hearing and turn it over to the commission.
I don't have questions.
Anybody have any questions? I'm gonna go ahead and entertain a motion to,
I'll make a motion to reinstate
Second.
The preliminary plat,
the preliminary plat, yes.
okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed?
What they're doing right there.
Okay, motion passes.
He asked if this was on
They're looking at,
They're looking at something else up there. Okay. I think they're talking about something else.
she needs to hear who approved it.
Okay, is there something else that you want to add to the addenda? Is there something else on there? We went ahead and passed that. Is there something else on the agenda?
Yeah,
Okay,
something else.
okay. We're gonna go ahead and go on to the miscellaneous. Okay, and this is not a public hearing, so we're gonna go ahead and go on to case file number 2024-11-P. And these are motions approving with staff's recommended conditions of a preliminary plat of Deer Meadows addition, first filing being a 104-28 acre tract located in section 11 and 14 block 41, TNS TNP Railroad County Survey, City of Odessa, Midland County, Texas, generally located on the north side of WCR 122, approximately 1,700 feet east of Paso La Estrada, County District 2.
Thank you, Vice Chairman and Commission members. This is the actual preliminary plat being presented because of the reinstatement that we had done. The applicant is DJK Incorporated with consultant LCA. They're seeking approval of preliminary plats to create 577 single-family residential lots for ownership purposes. These were routed back at the time that I had mentioned previously. Some of the conditions listed on here might have been submitted already. We are requesting a approval of the preliminary, since it was reinstated. Once they bring in the final, we'll go ahead and discuss that with the developer to see what other documents or other requirements they have. But at this time, this was taken from the preliminary, so they might have submitted some of these documents already. Okay, the staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat of Deer Meadows Addition first filing, subject to conditions. I do have to indicate that it's subject to conditions A through F, as it was in the preliminary previously. And I'm here for any questions.
So we don't need to adjust any of these as far as the lot size on this, of these?
Some of these adjustments might have already been made.
Okay.
The purpose right now is to go ahead and represent it again, so we can get the approval once again for this one, and then they can continue with their final.
Okay. Okay. So this is not a public hearing, so does anyone have any questions for staff? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and entertain a motion.
Well, does this address her concern before?
It might address her concern. You can open a public hearing to hear her speak. However, when she submits the final, we will address any concerns that are remaining.
Okay.
This is regarding the 4,600
Yes.
lots, okay.
Yes.
So it's not gonna make a difference to,
If they haven't, at this time, the 4,600 square feet, if they have already addressed it, it will be eliminated once they submit their final. She can speak towards it. If you open a public hearing, she can speak towards it. No decision can be made right now because, like I said, this is already a preliminary that was previously presented. And we're just proposing to have it approved once again so they can go ahead and submit their final.
And on the final, they can do the correction.
Correct, yes, sir. And prior to that, we do hold plating conference to let them know what requirements are needed.
well, there shouldn't be a correction because she already had it in there in October, so it shouldn't be a correction on her part because it was already correct, it was already submitted correctly.
Yes, ma'am. There shouldn't be a correction if it was already submitted.
Okay. That's what she was telling you, so.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go ahead and entertain, I'm gonna go ahead and open up a public hearing so she can speak, so we can go and get it fixed, so that way I'm gonna go ahead and open up a public hearing to, hear case file number 2024-11-B.
So I believe the consensus is that, sorry. I believe the consensus is that comment D would be amended to reflect what the original approval was, which is the 4,600 square feet, correct?
Correct.
Correct, thank you.
I'm not sure I understand why that wasn't already done. If it had already passed, why it was,
Preliminary.
okay. All right.
So we're gonna go ahead and include that in our motion. I'm gonna go ahead and we can include that in our motion, correct? Correct. I'm gonna go ahead and close this public hearing.
I move for approval of case file 2024-11P as presented with the exception of the 4,800 square foot lot size
4,600, okay.
changed to 4,600 square foot lot size.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay. Now we're gonna go on to case file number 2023-88-P, motion approving staff's recommended conditions for a final plat of lots 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, block 13, Smith's Pearson addition being a .77 acre tract in section 34, block 42, T-S, TMP Railroad County Survey, Odessa, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the southwest corner of intersection of West Marble Street, South Sam Houston Avenue, Council District 1.
Thank you, Vice Chairman and Commission members. The applicant, Lavorick Williams, owner and Pinell Land Surveyor Consultant, and the purpose of the request is to align the lots to match direction of residences. Now, this is in line with the final from the previous reinstatement of the preliminary that was already approved. The property involved in this replat request is located on the southwest corner of the intersection of West Maple Street and South Sam Houston Avenue. The site is currently zoned general residence district and is occupied by residential development and vacant land. Land use in the area consists of residential development to the north, east, south, and west. This request has been routed to all respective departments for internal review and no comments were sent. Staff recommends approval of the final plat of lots 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14, Block 13, Smith Pearson addition, subject to the conditions A and B. A, that the tax certificates should reflect taxes paid indicating that all taxes on the land being subdivided have been paid for the current year. And B, that the approval of this final plat is subject to all plat comments, conditions, and requirements being satisfied by all pertinent city departments before filing for recordation with the county clerk, Victor County, Texas. And I'm here for any questions.
Does anybody have any questions of the staff? Okay. Okay, entertain a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve.
second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, I'm gonna entertain a motion to, sorry, not entertain a motion. I'm gonna go, we're gonna go into case file number 2025-24-P. Motion approving with staff's recommended conditions for a proposed preliminary plat of Bingham Addition, third filing, in addition to the city of Odessa being a subdivision of .813 acres of section 33, block 42, T-S, TNP Railroad, County Survey, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the southeast corner of the intersection of West Murphy Street and Bankhead Highway, Council District 5.
Thank you, Vice Chairman and Commissioners. The applicant and owner, Marco Escobar, with consultant SW Howell Incorporated, is seeking to plat to create one lot for ownership purposes. This plat request has been routed to respective departments and has received no objections, and therefore the planning staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat of Bingham Addition, third filing, subject to condition A. And we are now open for any questions for the case. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions of staff? Hearing none, I'll entertain.
Move for approval. I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, on to case file number 2025-P. Motion approving staff's recommended conditions for a proposed preliminary plat of Mardi Gras Estates, 10 filing, .96, situated on TNP Railroad, County Survey, Section 38, Block 42, T-2-S, City of Odessa, Ector County, Texas, being out of the remainder of a 6.72 tract conveyed into 87th Street Partners LLC, recorded in document number 2022806, Ector County Official Public Records, generally located on the northwest corner of the intersection of East 87th Street and Riverboat Boulevard, Council District 4.
Thank you again, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. The applicant, 87th Street Partners LLC, with consultant Meritage Hospitality Group, is seeking to plat to create one lot for ownership purposes. This plat request has been routed to respective departments and has received no objections, and therefore the planning staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat of Mardi Gras Estates, 10th filing, subject to conditions A through I. We are now open for any questions. Thank you.
This wouldn't be residential, it's more like office space or something?
It would fall under any kind of commercial development. I believe it is zoned for commercial.
Does anyone have any questions for staff?
No, ma'am.
Hearing none, I entertain a motion.
I'll make
I
a
make a
motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion passes. Okay, on to case number 2025-26-P in the ETJ. Motion approving with staff's recommended conditions for a proposed preliminary plat of Mesquite Springs subdivision, a subdivision of a 39.64 acre tract of land located in section 7, block 41, T-3-S, TNP Railroad, County Survey, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the east side of South FM 3503, approximately 340 feet south of Southeast Loop 338 in the extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Thank you again, Vice Chairman and Commissioners. The applicant and owner, B&B Land Solution LLC, with consultant SW Howell Incorporated, is seeking to plat to create 34 lots for proposed future residential development. This plat request has been routed to respective city departments and has received no objections, and therefore the planning staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat of Mesquite Springs subdivision, subject to conditions A and B. And we are now open for any questions. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions of staff? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, on to case file number 2025-27-P in the ETJ. Motion approving with staff's recommended conditions for proposed preliminary plat of East J Bar Estates, a subdivision of 55.47 acres in section 9 and 10, block 43, T-2-ST and P Railroad Company Survey, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the north side of West 42nd Street, approximately 90 feet west on North Trip Avenue, extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Thank you, Vice Chairman and Commission members. A little bit lower. The applicant and owner, Patrick Lewis, with consultant S.W. Howe, are seeking a plat to create one lot for ownership purposes. This request has been routed to all respective departments for internal review. The comments are below, and for a planning, Ector County Utilities District signature block, Public Works tract is not within identified flood hazard area. The tract is not within city limits, but is within city extraterritorial jurisdiction. Water is available, but no sewer. Lot is sufficient for septic. There are comments from CRMWD. Prior to finalizing the plat, the developer shall determine the locations of the pipelines. If needed, the existing CRMWD easement shall be adjusted on the new plat so that the existing pipelines are within the easement. District personnel shall be notified prior to excavation of pipelines. And in order to ensure the integrity of these pipelines, CRMWD requests a copy of the proposed construction plans to be provided for review. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat of East J Bar Estates, subject to conditions A through C. I'm here for any questions.
What kind of pipelines are we talking about?
Those are water. CRMWD is the
Water.
Colorado something. I can't remember the whole name, but it's a water utility district or company.
So it would be ETJ, but it would be residential probably?
This one is it, I'm assuming it will be residential purpose.
Not saying right now.
It's for addressing purposes.
Okay, it's for, this property actually had mentioned that, it's family owned. So they are wanting the residences to be split, so they both need addresses, and this is just for residential
Oh,
purposes.
so they're already there.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, any more questions of staff? Okay, so entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion passes. Okay, on to case file number 2025-28-P in the ETJ. Motion approving with staff recommended conditions for proposed preliminary plat of the Louis subdivision, a subdivision of 2.934 acres of land and 0.372 acres of road dedicated located in the southeast part of section 26, block 43, T-2-S TNP Railroad Company Survey, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the northeast side of the intersection of West 3rd Street and North Lynn Drive, extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Thank you, Vice Chairman and Commission members. The applicant and owner Eddie Rodriguez with consultant S.W. Howell are seeking to apply to create one lot for ownership purposes. This request has been routed to all respective departments for internal review, and the comments are below. From planning, there is no comments. From Public Works, drainage report is adequate. Southwest corner is within unnamed playa. Develop the lot per Ector County floodplain regulations. The tract is not within city limits, but within the city of Odessa ETJ. Water and sewer not available. Lot is sufficient for water well and septic tank. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat of Louis subdivision, subject to conditions A and B. And I'm here for any questions.
Any questions of staff?
Move for approval.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Last one, case file number 2025-29-P in the ETJ. Motion approving with staff's recommended conditions for proposed preliminary plat of Headley Ranch, being a
149-acre tract of land situated in Section 5, Block 41, Township 2, South 870, Texas, and Pacific Railway Company Survey, Ector County, Texas, generally located on the north side of East 56, approximately 1,960 feet east of Loop 338, extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Thank you. The applicant and owner, Paul Baxter, with consultant Maverick, are seeking to create 111 lots for residential development and 6 lots for drainage basins and/or undeveloped areas covered by easements. This request has been routed to all respective departments for internal review, and the comments are as below. From planning, 2 GIS points required, the signature block required for Director of Development, also for Director of Public Works, and a signature block required for and seal for the surveyor. To indicate proposed use areas were designated as common areas. To submit state tax statements with final plat submittal. From Public Works, the drainage report needs to be revised. Contact one of their staff for comments. Water and sewer are not available. Property is within the city of Odessa, ETJ. Lots are sufficient size for water, well, and septic. Submit paving plans to Ector County for their acceptance. And 56th Street right-of-way is needed from Common Area 1A. An exhibit can be provided. From CRMWD, prior to finalizing the plat, the developer shall determine the locations of the CRMDW pipelines. If needed, the existing CRMWD easement shall be adjusted on the new plat so that the existing pipelines are within the easement. District personnel shall be notified prior to excavation of pipelines, and in order to ensure the integrity of these pipelines, CRMWD requests a copy of the proposed construction plans to be provided for the review. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat of Headley Ranch, subject to conditions 8 through I, and I'm here for any questions.
Is the city gonna do water, are we gonna eventually do water out that way?
This is an ETJ, they won't be served with city water.
We're not ever gonna annex that over in that way?
Not unless they request to. They don't wanna be in the city.
They're not gonna end up doing their own water district or anything out that way, they talked about it, since that's right there behind.
It'll all be on water wells.
They're all gonna be on water wells right there, all of them? No, it's right there behind, that's right there behind, Ponderosa, isn't that where that is? Right in there? Yeah.
It's across that
Huh?
social on 56.
It's on 56, it's right there behind Ponderosa, right there, and that's where that is, right there, isn't that what that is?
Between Ponderosa and 338.
Yeah, that's what that is, yeah, okay.
It looks like, is that gonna be a flood zone? Are they gonna be required to?
It's not a flood zone, they're
It's
gonna,
not?
some of that floods back in there in Ponderosa, but
It's not in a flood.
it's not in
Not
a
a
flood
flood
zone,
zone.
but
Okay.
is it gonna make some of Ponderosa flood whenever they do that? Y'all looked at that?
Yeah, they submitted a drainage report.
I know that some of those houses over there, it's
Yeah,
gonna
they-
make some of that flood, I think.
This big pond, like the water gathers there quite a bit.
I'm worried about that. That is gonna make some of that flood. Just because I have a daughter that lives over there, so I know that their property floods sometimes, and I can tell you that whenever they start building some property in there, it's gonna make their house flood.
This is the preliminary.
It's kinda like that Mission, whenever we started redoing all that, whenever we built their Mission, and so whenever we start building houses right there, it's gonna put all that, and it's gonna make that a soup bowl.
Public Works did indicate that they need to, drainage report needs to be revised, so they will go ahead and submit that. Since this is a preliminary, they're still in the reviewing process for the drainage.
Okay.
Some of those concerns, Mr. Tucker might be able to answer once, prior to the final, once the revised plan has been submitted.
All right, so I'm gonna turn this, any other questions for staff?
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Okay, motion passes. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
So move.